Hello everybody, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to bring a pattern that maybe you bought from the internet into Illustrator or you created in another program. Usually these will be JPEG, like square JPEG files, so I'll show you how to bring that into Illustrator. I'll show you how to manipulate the patterns and I'll give you some tips along the way on Adobe Illustrator. And then I'm going to be having a second part to this video. It'll be in a different video, but like a part 2 where you can actually follow along with me and make a plaid pattern. It's a very simple pattern. We'll do it in about 10 minutes. So before we get started, I want to let everybody know I'm using a Mac and I'm going to be telling you some shortcuts. So I'm going to be saying command, the command key, which is down in the lower left of the keyboard next to the space bar. If you're using a Windows, I believe that the key doesn't say command. I believe it says Windows, or it has the Windows symbols or something. So just know when I say command, I'm talking about that Windows key on a Windows computer. Right now I currently have a new file open in Adobe Illustrator. This is just a letter-sized paper. I just went to File, New, and created this. And I also downloaded a pattern from the internet. I found there's many you can buy online. If you go to Etsy, you have a bunch. You can search seamless digital patterns and a lot of them will show up. So you'll get so many patterns that you can buy. So you can find patterns in many places. I downloaded one to my desktop, so it's sitting on my desktop right now. Like I said, they're usually JPEGs, so I have this file open. I would save it. Make sure you always save your file. And then I'm going to go to File, Open, and I'm going to open that JPEG. So I'm going to find my JPEG that I downloaded. This is the pattern that I chose. And I'm going to say Open. This is a seamless pattern, and the reason I said that we should be doing seamless patterns is so that the edges line up when you make it into a pattern. So if you don't get seamless, I will show you one way now how you can use them, but you'll be a little bit more limited and the edges would look a little more jagged for some patterns if you don't get seamless. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm just going to grab this. It always opens in a new tab, the JPEG does. So I'm just going to click on the image and then I'm going to say Command X. Or you can go to Edit Cut, that's the same thing, and then Edit Paste, or Command V over here into my file, the new file that I had just created. Now this is a really large image. I'm just going to shrink it down a little bit. So I'm going to grab the corner, hold Shift so that it shrinks proportionately, and then just make it a little bit smaller so it fits on my page. I'm just going to show you how to do this with some shapes. So I come over here, I'm going to just do a rectangle right here. That's usually what I use. I do budget stickers and a lot of the headers have patterns behind it. You can use any shape you want. So you can draw your own shape or use one of these, whatever you need to do for what you're making. But I want to put a pattern in this shape. So one way you can do it, I'm going to draw my shape here. I'm just drawing a rectangle, long rectangle right here. And right now it's actually, you come over here, this is going to be important later, but so this is what it's filled in with white right now, even though you can't tell because it's on a white page. But if I pull it over here, you can see the white right there, and then it has no stroke right now. I'm just going to give it a black stroke so we can see it a little bit. So I'm clicking off of there. So you can see it has a black stroke and a white fill. For this, I want to actually say none for the fill. So I'm just going to use that right there. And then I'm going to click on my JPEG, and then let's come over here to the layers palette. If I say any palette and you don't have it, just go to Window and then find it down here. So like the layers palette is over here. You just click layers, make sure that the check is showing, and it'll be on your screen somewhere. So find your layers. Yours may be in a different spot than mine. But I have my rectangle, that's what I just drew on top of the image, and that's what you need to do this. I'm just going to show you a clipping mask. This is not the way I would recommend doing patterns, but if you have a pattern that is not seamless, this is just a really quick way to put your pattern into the area that you want it to be in. I have my rectangle on top, image on the bottom. I'm going to drag my rectangle on top and said none for the fill. So remember, we want no fill. And then I'm just going to drag it kind of wherever I want. I'll do these little 4 cupcakes in here. And then all you have to do, you can either click, you have to highlight both. So both of these need to be selected, the JPEG and the rectangle. And then you can either just say Command 7 or go to Object, Clipping Mask, Make. And then there it's going to just be contained into your shape. So you can kind of see when you hover over this, you can see the outline of how big the JPEG is. And you can move this still, so I just clicked over here. I clicked this direct selection tool. It's also A. If you click A, just A on your keyboard, you'll get to this tool. But if you click that if you have the direct selection tool, you're going to be moving the pattern inside. But remember, this is just a JPEG, so this is actually you need to make sure you're filling the whole thing. You can, if you scoot it over too far, you're not going to see the actual image. So that's how you move it within your rectangle. So you can still move it a little bit and make it, like, get it centered or whatever you want to do, but that's about all you can do with clipping masks. So that's one way to kind of use a pattern, but I'm going to show you the way that I would recommend. So I'm going to say I'm just going to undo for a little bit. So this is Command Z. I'm just going to take it back. All right, so now we have our rectangle and our JPEG right here. JPEG needs to be embedded. This one actually is right now, but so you can see it says unembed. I don't want to unembed it, but if it's not embedded, you need to click embed. So that's this menu button right here in the links panel. So open the links panel, click this right menu button over here, and then say embed image if it's not embedded already. Mine already is. So it needs to be embedded. And then I'm going to drag this. I'm actually going to make it a little smaller because this is a pretty big pattern, but you can adjust that too afterwards. You can do it before or after. I just made it a little smaller. I'm going to drag this into my swatches panel. So this is the swatches over here. Again, yours might be in a different place, or you can open it with window swatches. You'll see it right here. It's very, very tiny, but this is my cupcake swatch right here. It says new pattern swatch 4, it's calling it. And what I'm going to do now is click on my square, and then I'm actually going to just click this new pattern swatch 4, what it's called. And you'll see actually that the fill over here, and also over where we saw it earlier, the fill made it this cupcake fill. Now, this is a pattern. Now, when you move your shape, it's going to move with the shape, so it's going to be contained within your shape now. I'm going to delete this one now since we don't need it. We're done with the original JPEG. We don't want it anymore. And I'm actually going to just take off the outline too because we don't need that. So we have it here, and you can draw any shape. This is now, so say I want a star, I'm gonna, right there, it has the cupcakes in it too. So it's just the fill. If it had another color, you can change it to the pattern by going to your swatches, and any shape that you have, you can put this pattern into. Now, how to change the patterns, the way I do it, I'm gonna select the object and then go to Effect, Distort and Transform, and then Transform. This is where you can move your pattern around. Here's my palette over here, or the window that opens. And you want to make sure for this, you want to say uncheck Transform Objects. The Transform Patterns we will want to keep. And then you can make the pattern smaller, so you can see it's adjusting there. I'll pull it over here so maybe you can see better. So this is like at 41% of the pattern. You can make it bigger. I wouldn't recommend making it bigger than 100% because then you might be getting blurry since it is still a JPEG image that you bought. And then to move it, like say I want these little cupcakes down and centered, click the vertical, and I want to move it down. Sometimes so down is to the right for me. I'm just going to put those in the center right there. And then if you wanted to move them a little bit this way, maybe get one more cupcake on there. Just kind of, you can play around with the settings in here and get the pattern to where you want it to be. So that's what that is. If you need to tilt the pattern, you can do that. If it needs to be like if you're doing a sideways thing, but you can manipulate the pattern in here. You can even reflect it. It'll be opposite. Then once you're done and you're happy with what it looks like, then you just want to say, okay, I'm gonna scoot to this. Just say okay, and then there you have your pattern right there, and it's stuck where it should be. That is how I do patterns in Illustrator.